All right, everybody, welcome in. It's the Arrowhead Addict podcast. Patrick Allen here, hopefully to be joined by Matt Verderam shortly, if he hasn't already thrown himself off the top of a building. Welcome in, everybody. Get in here. What's up, Cheeto Freak, Evan, Gaming Bros, Noah, the whole crew. 67 of you so far. Obviously, if you're just kind of coming in, major earth-shattering breaking news here. And if our producers Hunter and Richard can keep feeding me tweets and news, I would appreciate that as well, so I can keep up while I talk to you guys. But this one came from Ian Rappaport, who would know. I'm just going to read the tweet for you. This was just a 10:04 Arrowhead time. Another blockbuster coming, question mark, despite an offer from the Chiefs that would make superstar Tyreek Hill one of the highest paid receivers. Extension talks have stalled, and Kansas City has now given Hill's agent permission to seek a trade. Sources tell me and Tom Pelissero. This is just this is completely insane news. I've seen it corroborated by Nate Taylor as well. In what he basically said was it's going to be really hard for the sides to come to an agreement. This is a little bit nutty. It sounded like they were close on an extension and were making progress just a little while ago. And then, of course, things start happening around the league, right? You have the Devontae Adams trade, a bunch of other receivers sign, some for a high dollar amount. Maybe that impacted the negotiations between the Chiefs and Tyreek Hill. But obviously, this is, I'm a little bit in shock, as I'm sure all of you are. Look, I don't really want to go down this road too far, but can the Chiefs get an insane amount of value for Tyreek Hill? Absolutely. But do they want to? I mean, let's be honest here. Tyreek Hill is what makes this offense go. With all due respect to Travis Kelce as well, that tandem is the Chiefs' entire offensive identity. The threat of Tyreek Hill going deep, taking the top off of defenses, is one of the reasons why teams play the Chiefs the way they play them. So this is very shocking. You would think if you are the Chiefs, if there's outside of Patrick Mahomes, if there are, three players that you have to absolutely pay no matter what they cost, if you're the Chiefs right now, I would say that's Patrick Mahomes, that's Tyreek Hill, and that is Travis Kelce, with all due respect to the offensive line. So let's get your questions coming in. I'm going to do my best to answer this. But here comes Matt Verderam. So the backup, the cavalry is here. Verderam, what in the hell is going on?
Bad news, man. If you're a Chiefs fan, bad news. I talked to a source 10 days ago, maybe at the absolute most, maybe 12 days ago, who was who described their contract negotiations as fine. That things were going well, that it was totally expected to get done. So this is a stunning reversal of where things were. It clearly fell apart quickly, and it fell apart rapidly in a way that I don't think anybody expected. I think part of that is the contracts for these receivers have been so enormous the last handful of days. I think the Devontae Adams thing maybe had part of this. I don't know that. I'm just speculating. But look, let's be real. If they trade him, this is the end of an era with this football team. I mean, now I'm not saying they can't compete in another way. They're not a Super Bowl team. There's no way. Not without him. Are you kidding? I mean, if you're a defense, you're doubling Kelce. What are you worried about? You're worried about McCole Hardman killing you for 1,200 yards? You're worried about Juju Smith-Schuster going nuts for 1,300 yards? Because Juju Smith-Schuster was great with Antonio Brown, not so much without him. And I think you're pretty much looking at the end of what was the greatest 4-year stretch in Chiefs history. I mean, I don't know how else you can put it. Losing him, I mean, they're done. I wouldn't even pick them to win the division without him. So,
yeah.
To say they're not a Super Bowl team is dramatic. Bro, you kidding? Have you seen this conference? And the idea that these draft picks, people are like, well, they're going to get picks. Okay. I mean, that's cute.
Those aren't going to pay off next year.
I mean, come on. Yeah. It's not Tyreek Hill. What are we talking about here?
Yeah,
I mean, come on
you're
now.
talking about an all-time great wide receiver, utterly unique, and
Yeah.
the whole offense is built around. I mean, the whole offense is built around his skill set and Patrick Mahomes' skill set. Without that, I mean, what you double team Travis Kelce and as you put it, like what? Yeah, all due respect, McCole Hardman and Juju Smith-Schuster, but you don't have a number one wide receiving threat anymore. You're a
No,
team that
you don't.
doesn't run the ball, so you're talking a total. You're tearing the offense almost down to the studs.
I love the people, by the way, are like fake news. Guys, I got bad news for you. It's not fake news. So,
Yeah,
I mean, you hear Dolphins and Jets. I would expect that the Dolphins are the team that are in the most, advantageous position. They're Miami. They're Miami. Supposedly the Chiefs want 2 firsts, which, all right. Hey, listen, that's great compensation for a receiver. But let me tell you something. Everybody goes so crazy about these picks. Okay. I mean, you can go get these picks. If I'm one of those teams, I do that trade in a heartbeat. Like, I don't care. Like, Tyreek Hill's made the Pro Bowl every year of his career. He's 28. Like, the last game that they won with Tyreek Hill, look at that Buffalo game. You think they're winning that game without Tyreek Hill? I mean, come on. They have no shot. Their
that's
defense
exactly it.
stinks right now. And without Hill, that offense is still good. It's not great. That's not a great offense. I love how the Chiefs all of a sudden, you get like they're bringing in Marquez Valdez-Scantling to take a look. Come on. I mean, it's like he's a nice deep threat. That's cute. I mean, I've watched a lot of him over the years. Every third pass gets dropped. You kidding? Like, that's your answer? They have no shot if they don't have Tyreek Hill. None. That
The
team's not going to Super Bowl. That team is probably a wild card team. They'll probably win 10 games, 11 games, and they'll play a team like Buffalo and get killed because they don't have the weaponry to go back at them. But look, those draft picks are fine. You better nail them. And if you don't nail them, who cares? Then you trade them for nothing, right? I mean, at the end of the day, like, that's where you're at. So I think you have to be realistic. Kane, my guy. Thank you. It's reality, bro. Like, I've been saying this now about the defense for the last 24 hours too. Like, Chief fans don't want to hear it, and I get it. I grew up a Chiefs fan. I'm like, look, that's reality. You can sit there and scream about it and be pissed all you want. Let's be serious. I mean, you have to be grounded in reality. They're not going to win a Super Bowl if they deal him and they have this defense. There is no chance it's happening. None. That's just reality.
So about 10-12, Adam Schefter followed up. Jets and Dolphins, as you mentioned, Matt, are in serious talks to trade for Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill, per league source. Hill and the Chiefs are mulling what to do, but Hill's time in KC looks like it could be coming to an end. So, look, I don't want to talk about this, but we've got to talk about it. The Jets have, if the Chiefs want 2 first-round picks in the 2022 draft, the Jets have number 4 and number 10.
Yep.
They've also got 2 in round 2, 35 and 38, and number 69 in round 3. If you're the Chiefs, or if you're the Jets, I guess, would you trade 4 and 10 for Hill, knowing that it's not a good quarterback class, and so you're trying to get a marquee player? Or is that too rich? 2 top 10 picks for a receiver?
I mean, that feels like a lot. I feel like the Jets would not do that. I don't think that's going to happen. Can't say it won't happen, but I don't think it will happen. I don't think I don't think it makes a ton of sense if you're the Jets, where they are at in their rebuild, to trade picks 4 and 10. I think it'd probably be more likely they trade one of them and then trade next year's first. If that's the way it goes down. Now, look, if I'm the Chiefs and you're trading him to the Jets, then I want pick 4. Like, I don't care. If
Absolutely.
you're the Jets, you want him, you're giving up pick number 4, and you're giving up next year's first. Like, that would be the way I would approach that. I think if you're the Chiefs, if you do that, I mean, who's going to be a pick 4? Well, Hutchinson will be gone, right? He'll probably go to the Jags. I don't know who the Lions, and God only knows who they would take. It could be Willis. It could be somebody else. I mean, there's a chance Kayvon Thibodeau's there at 4. And if he's there, you probably take him. Like, you're probably taking him. But I don't think if you're Kansas, even if Kayvon Thibodeau turns out to be, let's just say it's him and he's great. That's right. Like, that definitely helps. But now you're in this position where, okay, great. You robbed Peter to pay Paul. You've now, all right, sure, you're better defensively, maybe, unless he's a bust, right? I mean, everybody will just assume whoever they pick at that spot, if they do, is going to be a Hall of Famer. Well, what if he's not? What if he ends up having a Tyson Jackson level career? Then what?
Right.
Then you traded Tyreek Hill for nothing. So, listen, it's going to be really interesting. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do, but this is a team that you felt like with Tyreek Hill at 28 years old, like, yeah, they'll extend him. I mean, they felt like, yeah, they'll extend him 10 days ago. And now you're sitting there looking at it going, yeah, they'll still be good, but they're not going to be great. And I don't know how you could argue that they'd be great. Like, I don't know what the case for that is. Because defensively, I don't care what they do in the draft and the rest of free agency. They're not going to be great. Like, that defense, it might be okay, but it's not going to be great. So I don't know. I don't know why you would think all of a sudden. And then offensively, this is a weird thing to say about the Chiefs. They have the worst weapons in the division if they trade him.
Yeah.
Like easily. So that's where you're at.
Just moments ago, Tyrann Mathieu tweeted, "When egos run wild, contain yours," which
No offense to
seems
Tyrann
like a
Mathieu.
veiled
He tweets
shot at the
everything.
Chiefs.
I have no idea. He tweets constantly, so I have no idea if that's about.
Yeah, but the timing of this, egos, you know, this is total speculation, but just take that for what it is. Bob Fesco from 610 Sports in Kansas City just tweeted, source, Hill wants to be paid more than Adams despite not being a free agent yet.
I mean, Adams wasn't a free agent yet either. Well, he was tagged, so.
Right. Adam Schefter says multiple teams were approached about a potential Tyreek Hill trade, but the Jets and Dolphins emerged in recent days as the 2 finalists per source. Hill is now likely to wind up a Jet or a Dolphin.
Right.
So trying to level set here. Things are moving very fast. We didn't see this coming, totally blindsided. So we're trying to, we'll have a lot of bitching and complaining to do at some point, but we're trying to bring you up to speed as quickly as we can. When we talk about the Miami Dolphins, what I was able to pull up here heading into next year, they traded their own first-round pick to move up last year to select Jalen Waddle. They have a round 1 selection number 26 that they got from the 49ers in a pick swap.
Right.
They've got number 50 in round 2, and then they have a comp selection in round 3, number 100. So they don't have a great draft capital like the Jets do. The Jets have incredible draft capital. I would think that if the Dolphins were involved here, unless they're giving up future first-round picks or those types of things, that you would have to be getting some players in return. Well, probably from both deals, but it's going to be harder for the Dolphins. So I saw somebody in the chat say, would they have Jalen Waddle? That doesn't seem to make sense to me. Could you foresee something like that happening? Would you take a first round number 26 and Jalen Waddle for Tyreek Hill plus some change?
I wouldn't trade Tyreek Hill for anything other than like some astronomical package. They're not getting better by trading Tyreek Hill now or ever. That's it. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat this. It's a stupid thing to do. It's a dumb thing to do. I've been on the record many times saying I think Brett Veach is a really good GM, and I do. This is stupid. This is dumb. And if the idea is that they can't pay him, then you know what? Then that's a bad job by the Chiefs front office. If you left yourself in such a spot that you can't pay Tyreek Hill, then that's a bad job by you. Okay? And part of the reason they can't pay Tyreek Hill, if that's the case that they go down the road of, well, it's because they're paying Frank Clark $1 bazillion. Okay? And they paid Anthony Hitchens a contract he didn't deserve. And they've look, I think sometimes that stuff happens. Like you go after, a big move. And by the way, look, the Chiefs give him Mahomes the contract he got. He deserves it. That's different. Like he deserves that contract. That's actually a great contract, to be quite honest, that contract was a great deal because of the flexibility they have in it. Kelsey's deal was really team advantageous. I don't have any problem with the deal they gave Tooney, but the problems I have more of are, look, I mean, Chris Jones got paid $21 million, and I don't think it was a bad contract, by the way. I think the Chiefs totally paid in line with what it should have been. But look, Chris Jones did not play like a guy last year who deserves $20+ million. Frank Clark has never lived up to his contract. And when you pay guys that money, like, they need to get the job done. And I would argue Jones at least has been good, but like they have not gotten themselves the value that they needed out of those deals. So if you're, as my father just figures out that this is happening, it's a tough day for him now at work. It's a horrible job by them. Ray, I'm not the most negative person you've ever heard. You live in reality? I mean, the guy's like a first ballot Hall of Famer. What world do you live in?
And he's 28.
Adam Schefter tweeted, first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a 3-time first team All-Pro. He's a 6-time Pro Bowler. I mean, come on. Look, please, for the love of God, don't be the fan who's like, it doesn't matter. I'm a Chiefs fan. It's okay. I just ride with whatever they do, and I'll make an excuse for it. If they trade him, it's a massive, massive F-up. That's reality. Like, there is no Can you imagine? That's like the Patriots at the zenith of who they were, trading Rob Gronkowski and just being like, well, that's what we have to do. That's bullshit. I mean, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Live in reality. Look, are they a playoff team if they trade him? Yeah, they probably are. Are they better than that? No, they're not. They're not, barring just a miracle in the draft. Like, that's the reality. And to sit there and just think like it's okay and that there's fun. Come on. What world do you live in? I mean, it's not okay if you're a Chiefs fan, you want to win this year. Now, if you're cool with them just rebuilding this thing for 2 years while Mahomes is in his prime, you may never get another receiver like Tyreek Hill, ever.
Right.
Like, he's a generational talent. It's what it is.
This is from it's we're trying to tell you we're trying to tell you just the facts here. And if you don't believe us, listen to the people around the league. Look at the reactions on Twitter from people who know more. This from James Palmer. I've covered the Chiefs for a while now. Palmer, if you're not aware, is very tapped into the Chiefs and does a great job. I've covered the Chiefs for a while now. I've talked to countless defenders, defensive coordinators, and defensive coaches. And so has our own Matt Verderan here. No one is Tyreek Hill. There is no comp. And that is dead on. Lindsey Jones, trading Tyreek Hill would make no sense for either side from a football perspective. Hill is in the perfect system with the perfect quarterback to maximize his skill. Hill is a one-on-one talent who will be impossible to replace. No business, but business is business, man. These are all facts, okay? From Adam Schefter. Tyreek Hill is one of 4 players since 1970 with at least 6 touchdown catches in each of his first 6 NFL seasons. The others are Randy Moss, Larry Fitzgerald, and Marvin Harrison. I don't care how much you like the receivers in the draft. I'm an Ohio State guy. That's an Ohio State helmet behind me. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, I think they're going to be excellent pros. Getting both of them is not having Tyreek Hill.
God, no.
Look, that's everything.
Everybody and their mother who's in draft Twitter loves to be like, oh, you know what would be great if they got Chris Olave on a rookie deal. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to really ease the pain when he is, when Tyreek Hill isn't there and you can't do, you know what else is going to happen when he's not there? It's going to be a hell of a lot easier to bracket Kelsey and just sit there and say, look, there's no way to get him as open as you once could. I mean, guys, I'm not saying they're going to win 4 games next year. I still think they, but they are not in a million years going to be the same offense without Tyreek Hill. I mean, that's like the Bills trading away Stephon Diggs and just thinking it's not going to matter. Of course it's going to matter. Of course it's going to matter. I mean, I got Hunt over here. The offense will adapt and change. Yes, it will be worse. That's how it will change. It will adapt, sure, but it will be worse.
Now that the cat is out of the bag, the news is coming fast and furious. Connor Hughes from The Athletic. The Jets are in on Tyreek Hill, sources confirm. They're among the finalists. From what I'm told, the ball is now in Tyreek Hill's court. What does he want? New York, Jets, or Miami? Jets won't be outbid. It's just a matter of what Hill prefers. That is perplexing to me just in that. What do you mean it's what Hill prefers? Are the Chiefs just like, yeah, we'll just take the whatever we can get from wherever you want to go from these 2 places?
Oh, the good news is, though, huge. The Chiefs have re-signed center Austin Reiter, who was there a couple years ago.
Oh,
so that's
all right.
Play him at slot.
Receiver.
Yeah, I mean, that's it.
Peter Schrager says the Dolphins have been working on this for a bit. They are very much in on Tyreek Hill. Nick Wright, our pal, says, I've got Tyreek Hill news. I got the Tyreek Hill news while recording the At What's Right show. By the end, I was Googling Marquez Valdez Scantling stats, dark stuff to deal with a camera rolling. Albert Breer, 8 minutes ago, trade could happen soon. A lot of back and forth between the Chiefs and Tyreek Hill went into this. Kansas City basically sees Hill as gone at this point.
By the way, Pro Football Talk putting the Chiefs are not seeking 2 first-round picks. They are seeking a first and a second-round pick.
Wow.
Which I think is more accurate. I would be shocked if the Chiefs got 2 first-round picks. Why? If you're one of these teams, why? Why would you? I mean, the Chiefs have no leverage now. Cat's out the back. Like, there's no reason. There's no reason if you're the Dolphins or the Jets to give them 2 firsts, unless you really truly believe that the other team is willing to go that far. And maybe you can do that, right? I mean, maybe you can leverage it. But listen, there's no 2 ways. If they trade him, which it appears is imminent at this point, there's no way they're replacing that guy. Like, he is, in my entire life, he's probably the greatest single threat on a play-to-play basis I've ever seen. I mean, I could argue, Randy Moss, it was a better deep threat in the sense he was just such a freak physically. I could argue that I've seen guys who maybe, were more of a dominant, like a Megatron, but in terms of like any time the guy has the ball, he's the most devastating player that there is. He's it. I mean, he's the most devastating single play weapon I've ever seen. I can't think of a guy who comes close. Maybe there are a few, but at the same point, to lose him, to live in reality, they do not exist in the same way. And it's funny. If they were a team that would rely more on running the ball and having balance, I'd actually say, like, you know what? Okay, not good, but that's the problem. They have a head coach who refuses to do that. So he's not going to run the football. He's just going to drop Mahomes back and just keep chucking it 40 times a game because they're terrified to run behind a top 3 offensive line. They won't do it. I think you have to understand that at this point, like, without him, they're not the same team. Now, look, I think they're a playoff team, but that's as far as I take it. That's it, honestly.
Yeah, latest from James Palmer. In a year when defenses made dramatic changes to how they played the Chiefs and took away the deep ball, Tyreek Hill had a hard time adjusting. He adapted, became better at working in tight spaces, and in turn caught more passes last season than any player in Chiefs history. So I mean, there you have it, right? Here's teams doing everything they can to stop him. Doesn't matter. And where did he catch that ball against the Bills to get the Chiefs back into that game and get them into the AFC Championship? Where did he catch it?
Yep.
Did he catch it 50 yards down the field? Nope. He caught it coming across the middle. Perfect throw by Mahomes in stride. And that was it. He threw up the peace sign about 20 yards from the end zone when a Bills defender had an angle on him because he knew he couldn't catch him. That's what you're losing. You're losing a Hall of Fame wide receiver, and those don't just grow on trees. Do you think, I got to ask this question, and we talk about it all the time on this podcast, and we have a lot of respect for Brett Veach and the entire Chiefs front office and what they've done. Do you feel like this is a little bit of hubris on the part of the Chiefs front office that, this can happen to anybody, especially when you're really good at your profession, right? Sometimes you can sort of overestimate your abilities to fix a problem, right? It happens to contractors, electricians, right? It's like, oh yeah, I've been doing this forever. I know how to fix this. And some things are just beyond your control. Is this a little bit of, it's like the Packers with Aaron Rodgers, and drafting Jordan Love in the first round, is this falling into that category for you?
I think it's hard because I know they were trying to extend them. So I think that the reality is, I keep saying that term, they are paying the price for some deals that didn't necessarily work out, but also they could pay him. They could pay him. I want to be very clear about that. They 100% could pay Tyreek Hill whatever he wants. Now, whether or not they think that's responsible, I don't know. Look, if you want to sit here and make the case, they're giving him a 4-year guaranteed extension of whatever, 80 some odd million, 85, $90 million is irresponsible because he's 28. Maybe that plays out, right? Maybe that plays out. But what happens if he goes to Miami or New York and he's great for another 3 years? And you're sitting there like, hey, we're going to go deep ball here to McCole Hardman. Okay. I like McCole Hardman, but he's not Tyreek Hill. Right? I mean, I think when you get as good as they've gotten, there is a certain arrogance, which is why you see so many fans in here, and I don't blame them, who are dancing on the Chiefs now because, hell, man, they're tired of the Chiefs, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them one bit. I get it. If you're the Chiefs, you have been stomping on people and peace signing them to death and laughing on the way out the door. And so I think in the end, look, I don't know that there's hubris with this. I think sometimes there has been with the Chiefs. With this, I think it might just be more case of they don't want to pay him what he wants. And it's tough to justify what they're doing, because to me, you don't replace him. You may be able to get a guy who's good. You may be able to get a solid good player, but to get him is damn near impossible. I think sometimes that gets underrated. By the way, it's the same thing I said about the Packers when they traded Adams. It's the exact same thing. And everybody's like, I have buddies who are Packers fans. They're like, well, we're getting picks. It's like, you think you're finding Devontae Adams with those 2 picks? You think? Good. You're not finding Devontae Adams with those 2 picks. How long did it take you to find the first Devontae Adams?
Right.
That's so hard. And to think that the Chiefs, even if they get the 4th overall pick, the odds that you're taking a guy who is a first ballot Hall of Fame level player, it's slow. I mean, how many guys are that talented, right? I mean, how many guys in the league are there like that? It's very hard to find that. And so, yeah, look, they'll still be good. They'll still be a good football team, but will they be the team they are now? Oh, man, come on. I don't know how you could argue that.
I mean, even around the league, Stephon Diggs just tweeted, "The hell is going on?" Which, You said it, man. I mean, even other players, like outside of Patrick Mahomes, I mean, this is your team, this is your offense, and I think we talked about the hubris conversation. I think it also kind of comes down to, like, do you want to trade potentially a couple of years of Patrick Mahomes' prime to try to rebuild, to try to reconfigure things, or do you go all in? And as we're seeing around the league, as we saw with the
Always
Rams,
go all in. You
you go
always
all
go
in.
all in.
You don't know what's going to happen to Patrick Mahomes. God, I hope he plays at the same level for 10 more years. Maybe he has a neck problem, a back problem. Like, right?
Sure.
None of us thought, like,
know.
hey, Mitchell Schwartz is at the end of the road here. Man has, like, things can happen quickly. This is your window. You go all in with your window. You move other guys. You don't move Tyreek Hill. You don't move Patrick Mahomes. You don't move Travis Kelce.
Look, I've spent this whole thread killing the Chiefs for this, and I'm sure I'll spend. I've already got about 8 radio spots lined up. I'm sure I'm going to kill them for all those too. If you want any kind of a glass half full outlook on this, which I'm going to be blunt, I don't believe for 2 seconds. But if you want to try and spin that, it's going to open up a lot of space because it's a $20 million cap it off the books. Okay. Now, they would obviously also have a lot more picks. They have their own picks this year. There's no way to spin that they're going to be better this year because they're not going to be. They're going to be worse. But I think if there's a spin on it, that you could be, well, okay. It basically boils down to they have more space now. They can fill some holes that they've had for years defensively. And Mahomes is so great that he can elevate some of these receivers. Then Mahomes can, without Hill, Mahomes can turn Hardman into a guy who has 1,000 yards. Without, like, they can get enough out of Hardman and Smith-Schuster and Kelce that it's still a top 10 offense, which I actually do believe is possible. Like, I think it still could be that. I think it's the best offense in football with Hill. Without it, maybe 10, right? Like, so I think there's that. Like, you can make that argument. And without him, maybe they can get a lot better defensively because all of a sudden they have more space. But by the way, Adam Schefter, Jets and Dolphins both have trades in place for Tyreek Hill. The question now becomes where Hill wants to become the highest paid receiver in NFL history. Once he decides, the trade is expected to happen. For now, Hill is said to be torn.
I mean, if you're Hill, you're going to Miami.
Oh yeah,
probably, right?
Yeah.
I love New York. I lived there for 10 years, but the weather and the sales tax, or the state income tax down there, that's tons of money when you're making what Tyreek Hill is about to be making.
By the way, and he lives in Miami, I believe. Ralph Vacchiano, who does a nice job in New York, says the Jets are definitely all in on the Tyreek Hill talks. Per a source, they're willing to give up the 10th pick and more, and it will surely be more. There likely will be no deal unless Hill agrees to a massive contract extension, which the Jets are willing to give to him. Listen, again, you can make a case like down the road, it serves them, like it's the ultimate Belichickian move. But this year, there's no way. I mean, they're not going to be better. I don't even know how you could argue that. You'd be out of your mind to try and argue that. Could they be better because of it in 3 years from now? Maybe, but who the hell cares? I mean, you're trading Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes' his career is a finite amount of time. He's going to be 27. Like, this is the prime of his stuff he's got to be right now. That's the other side of this. You see quarterbacks getting moved all the time in this league. I'm not saying he's going to get traded, but like, can you imagine what he's thinking? And by the way, Silent, with all due respect, bro, the Broncos getting rushed. It was never over for KC. I don't even know that Denver's better than them now. So I would count that. Denver is the most like ballyhooed team right now, and I still don't know that they're even the second best team in their own division. Because I would take the Chargers over the Broncos. But the Broncos, look, I mean, it helps them, but I don't know that the Broncos are the Broncos are fine. Like I would really like the idea that the Broncos are the reason the Chiefs are trading Tyreek Hill is a significant reach. But that's neither here nor there. You can't deal in the nonsense there. You got to stick in reality. They're not going to be as good this year. Maybe it helps them down the road, but for right now, no way. No way does it help them.
From Sport Rack, which does a great job of tracking NFL contracts, trading wide receiver Tyreek Hill. The new team acquires 1 year, $18 million, zero guaranteed. Chiefs dead cap, negative $2.65 million, but $18 million saved. It says he'll just turn 28 years old and carries a near $22 million valuation in our system. But Devontae Adams, 28 million, 65 million guaranteed is likely to ask. So when that Devontae Adams deal happened, I think that's probably what just shifted everything. And the Chiefs were looking at this and saying, we don't want to pay you that much for that number of years. And here we are. They're obviously taking the approach that no one player, with the exception of Patrick Mahomes, is more important than the team. And that if they're not able to put a good team together, like this has got to be the thinking, right? It's not some kind of crazy. It's just probably as simple as it sounds. They're looking at Hill. He's 28. They're like, maybe there's a thought, hey, once the speed goes, this, that, whatever, we don't want to be on the hook in a couple of years. But that doesn't change. And that's sound logical thinking. And it very well may be true. Tyreek Hill could be toast in 2 years for all we know, right? We don't know. There's no guarantee that he's going to stay as big of an athletic freak as he has been as he reaches his 30th birthday. And you don't want to be in cap hell with a guy like that. At the same time, right now, and that's why like the folks out there in the chat that are saying you guys are being too negative, and right now, this is reality. Right now, the Chiefs will be far, far, far worse, no matter what they get next year and maybe the year after, than they would have been with Tyreek Hill. That's just a reality of the situation. Does that mean that they can't get like a good receiver and draft really well and make use of this and still win a Super Bowl next year? Anything could happen. Of course it could happen.
No,
but like logically, no, right? Not with all the offense that has been added to the other teams in the AFC. I just don't know how they keep up.
No,
you're going to have to add rookies. Like that's the thing. You got to add young guys.
Listen. I'm not even going to sugarcoat this. First of all, the Raiders thing does matter, right? Like that absolutely. The Broncos thing doesn't matter one iota. The Chiefs could care less about them getting Russell Wilson, but Devontae Adams going to the Raiders and getting the contract he got, that absolutely changes things. Because if you're Tyreek Hill, you're sitting there and you're saying, hey, look, like I deserve that money. And by the way, he does deserve that money. He's that level of player. Like he does deserve to get paid that kind of money. So in reality, like, yeah, you're going to have to shell that out. And the Chiefs, I guarantee you, the second they saw Christian Kirk get paid what he got paid, I tweeted that out the second it happened. Like that's an interesting thing. Like that's going to matter. Devontae Adams and getting paid what he got paid. Of course, it all factors in. Look, they're not winning the Super Bowl this year. I mean, barring them just having the draft of all time, you're not going to be able to find a way to replace that guy this year. There's no way that's going to happen. There's no way that's going to happen. Nice, Della. Thank you for the super chat, man. Don't do it, Tyreek. Does Patrick have a say? I mean, Patrick always has to say to some extent, but I mean, not if they can't come to a contract agreement. That's business. So the trading Tyreek Hill only works long term. Short term, it doesn't work. I don't care what they do; it's not working short term. B, it only works long term if you can draft really well with those picks. Like, look, if they draft another guy who's a consistent 1,000-yard receiver, and maybe with their other pick, they draft, even if the guy's not a great defensive, but like a solid, like a good starter, like a good defensive starter who's there for 10 years. Okay. I still think you're at a net loss, but okay. Like, I hear that. But again, you can't you can't take away what Tyreek Hill not only means in terms of his talent, but what he means to everybody else. You know how much easier Mahomes' life is with Tyreek Hill? How much easier Travis Kelce's life is with Tyreek Hill? I mean, look, all you have to do, and I'm going to pull it up real quick because it's worth making the point. So Travis Kelce was drafted by the Chiefs in 2013. Okay, Hill was drafted in 2016, and Kelce didn't play his rookie year, a knee injury, missed the whole season. All right, so the first year those two played together was 2016. Hill kind of came on as the year went along. He wasn't really a big-time player early. You want to take a guess first time Kelce had 1,000 yards and was an all-pro? It's 2016. Okay? Before Tyreek Hill, 862, 875. 2016, same quarterback, largely the same group around him. 1125, 1038, 1336, 1229, 1416, 1125. He's made the Pro Bowl single year Tyreek Hill's been there. You don't think it's going to matter? Come on now. You're crazy. I mean, come on. Like, of course it matters. And to replace Tyreek Hill is damn near impossible. And they're going to have to do it by finding a lot of other good players. And you're asking a whole hell of a lot. You're asking a whole hell of a lot. And I think you're asking way too much, to be totally honest.
From Charles Robinson, let's clear up all the comp stuff. Jets have better picks to operate than the Dolphins.
Yep.
Hence, a disparity between whether Hill trade takes a first and a second or 2 firsts. The pick ammunition between the pursuing teams is just different, so it comes down to overall value of the package. I want to throw something out here. And again, I don't want to be talking about this because I don't think it's going to make the Chiefs necessarily better, but this is what we got to do. So if you're the Chiefs in this situation, like let's say you get number 10 from the Dolphins plus a second. Do you trade your pick number 30 and some whatever else it might take to the Seahawks for DK Metcalf? So now you have DK Metcalf. You've got maybe number 10 still, if that would get it done. I don't know. How would you feel about that? Again, we've got to start thinking about, because from everything we're hearing, Hill's gone. Adam Schefter
he's definitely gone.
Yeah. It's over. Yeah. So, I know you all haven't gotten through the grieving. You're still in the anger phase of the grieving process. And what we're here to do, we certainly commiserate with you as Chiefs fans, but we've got to start looking ahead as well, because that's part of our jobs. How do you feel? Does that soften the blow a little bit if you end up with 10 and you get an edge rusher and you have DK Metcalf?
How would they do that?
Well, if the Chiefs say the Chiefs got number 10 from the Jets, they still have their own number 30.
Okay.
Maybe they can, the Seahawks got Metcalf for a second. I think he's definitely worth a first round pick now. Maybe they're not happy with 30, but could you make that happen maybe? And if you could, how do you see that playing out? Is that a decent move for the Chiefs?
Then fucked and just pay Tyreek Hill.
Sure, because you're going to have to pay DK Metcalf.
The hell, you're going to have to pay Metcalf.
Yeah.
I mean, which is the other part of this. Like, this idea, like the Chiefs, they're going to save money. What are you going to, you're going to use that money, I would think, right? I mean, unless they're just going to go cheap all of a sudden. Like, I would think you're going to, to me, you still have to pay somebody. Like, that's the other part. Like, everybody's like, well, they're going to save space. They're going to save cap space. Yeah, until they use it on another player. like, look, I will liken this to another like part of life. Okay. So if I have $300,000 and I want to buy a house, I could buy a nice house for $300,000, or I could buy 4 houses for $75,000. I'd rather own the fucking house for $300,000 because it's a nice house, right? And like, it's a nicer house than what I'd be getting for $75,000. Yeah, 4 friggin' pieces of property, which maybe in 20 years, that's the better move because you own 4 pieces of property if money goes up. But right now, if you're living in the here and now, as you are with a football team, of course you want the $300,000 house. You want the star. That's what you want. I mean, look, I have for a long time said that I think this front office has done a very good job, and I think it has. I mean, they've got the 4 straight AFC title games. They've won a Super Bowl. They've been to 2. I mean, they've been the best team in football for 4 years running in terms of overall of that stretch. But this is a massive failure by the Chiefs front office. It is. Now, hey, look, they want to prove us all wrong. God bless. Go right ahead and do it. But at this point, how could you argue that this is anything but a failure? I don't know how you could. And you look around the AFC, good luck. I mean, what are we talking about? They're not. Look, I do not think if they now. I also want to see what they end up doing the rest of the offseason because you have to. As of right this second, if they trade him, I don't think they're better than Buffalo now. So I certainly don't if they trade him. I think they're probably on a par with the teams in the North. They're still better than anybody in the South. The South is brutal. They're still better than the Raiders. They're not better than the Chargers. With the caveat that the Chargers are the Chargers and nobody screws around with wins and turns them into losses more than them. But the Chargers are more talented. Denver, I'd still probably take him over Denver. But you can make an argument. I got to be fair. You can make the argument. In the super chat, Bengals fan here, respect the hell out of Hill. A great player, going to be missed this coming year. AFC Championship was a great game. Good luck this year. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate it. You guys got a hell of a lot better on the offensive line. I think Collins is a great fit. Karras, Kappa as well. I really like what the Bengals are doing. I really like.
Sorry to interrupt, Matt. Just a tweet in from Connor Hughes of The Athletic. The Tyreek Hill trade is expected to happen this afternoon. Sources tell at Nate Taylor and me at by Nate Taylor, who obviously does great work, tapped him with the Chiefs as well. So it's going to happen this afternoon. Sounds like. Obviously, it's at this point, the two teams have put their trade packages on the table for the Chiefs. And it sounds like the Chiefs looked at both of those trade packages and said, we're good with both of these.
Right. That's
where do you want to go to Tyreek Hill? That's that when you hear that it's up to Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs must feel equally about both trade packages, which seems a little strange to me, to be perfectly honest. If I'm the Chiefs, I'd want to make the decision on this one, but they need, I guess, Tyreek Hill to be on board because he's got to go to this team and then sign an extension, right? Like, how much money are they offering him? No one's going to trade all this stuff for Tyreek Hill without knowing he's there for the long haul. So it's complicated, but I'm speechless. I did not wake up today thinking we were going to be sitting here talking about Tyreek Hill being not on the Chiefs.
No, I don't think anybody did. The Chiefs were fine. The Chiefs were totally fine with their negotiations with him 10 days ago. So, again, now really to me, all right. So look, let's spin it forward because we could sit here and go on and on and on and on and on about Hill, and we kind of have to this point, and fair enough. Like, what next? Like, where do they go? And it's a little hard to say, not knowing the trade package, of course, I understand that. But where do they go from here? What is the direction they go? Like, do they try to just say, okay, we've got Mahomes. He's going to elevate the offense in a way that Peyton Manning elevated the offense in Indianapolis, and Brady would elevate guys around him in New England because certainly he's talented enough to do that. And do they just say, look, we're gonna load up the defense. We're gonna get as good as we possibly can defensively over the next year, 2 years, 3 years. Do they do that? And they say, all right, look, you know what? We're going to just load up. We're going to try to be a top 10 defense. And we feel with Kelsey and Hardman and Smith-Schuster and that offensive line and the quarterback that we can still be a top 10 offense. I don't agree with that. Like, I think it's crazy to trade him. Maybe they prove me wrong. And I hope they do. But I think that's got to be, in my opinion, that has to be the plan. Because you're not getting better offensively losing him, right? I mean, that's nuts. So the plan would have to be you're going to get cheaper offensively. You're going to shift funds to the defense. Clark's gone after this year. right? I mean, that would have to be the plan, that you're going to then shift over and try to really upgrade the hell out of your defense through the draft and through free agency over the next year or two. And offensively, look, you're going to have Kelsey, you're going to have Smith-Schuster, although he's only there for a year right now. Hardman and Smith-Schuster are both free agents after the season. So now, of course, you could extend Hardman or something like that if you wanted to. But my point is, maybe they just feel like that's the way they're going to do it. But right now, you know you're a contender as you are, even with this defense being substandard. You have no idea if you're that trading away Tyreek Hill, man. That's like one of those Jenga things where you pull one of those and you're like, this whole thing could come down. I don't know. They're taking a huge chance. They're taking a huge chance. And Clint, by the way, thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate it. I know you didn't have a question, but thank you very much.
As we're looking at compensation for the Chiefs, obviously Jalen Waddle, not Tyreek Hill, and I don't even know that the Dolphins would trade Jalen Waddle because
if you're them, why the hell would you do that?
Yeah, it doesn't make a ton of sense. But a lot of Chiefs fans,
Jalen Waddle. That's the whole point.
Right. Yeah. You're there's not enough of a gulf between in talent that from what you lose to what you would gain. You would certainly gain a net positive by getting Tyreek Hill, but removing Waddle from the situation doesn't make sense. It would make sense for the Chiefs because he's a talented wide receiver on a rookie contract. But other than that, I just don't see it happening. But I'm curious as to what the Dolphins might be offering that might be on par with what the Jets can offer. That the Chiefs are in this position where they're like, all right, these are the two offers and we'll take whichever one Tyreek decides to go to. I'm just not terribly sure what the Dolphins have other than for Tyreek, the whole state income tax issue.
Yeah. Look,
Jeremy Fowler, sorry. Jets highly motivated to get Tyreek Hill deal done. Yeah. They're in a division with heavy man coverage that they know that Hill can beat. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter because who's going to be throwing them the ball? I mean, if the Jets ever get a quarterback.
That is the one thing about this. Look, let's be clear about this. Okay. Tyreek Hill is also going to get hurt by this. Now, financially, it's a boom, and that's probably what he cares about. No, but that's fine. Look, he won a Super Bowl. He's been to 2. I don't blame him one bit. Go get your money, man. It's a finite career. Go get paid. I don't begrudge him one iota. But I think this is also true. Like, you're going from Patrick Mahomes to Zach Wilson or Tua. Okay? It's not the same thing. It is not the same thing. He'll still be very good, but will he be what he's been? Probably not, to be honest. The flip side of that is, will Mahomes be what he's been? I think it hurts Hill more than it hurts Mahomes because usually that's kind of the way it works. It usually hurts the receiver more than it hurts the quarterback. But but of course it hurts Mahomes. Of course it does. You'd be crazy to say it doesn't. And now they're going to have to figure this out. They're going to have to go figure this out. They are going to have clearly extra picks. Which ones and from who we don't know. But they're going to have to figure out which way they're going with this. Are they, and look, let's say it's the Jets and they get the 10th pick. Who are you taking? Are you taking an edge rusher? Are you taking a receiver? Where are you going? I mean, it's going to be fascinating. For a team that has not had many first-round picks in recent years, they're about to have 2 of them. So, which way are they going? By the way, the Chiefs are talking Valdez-Scantling. Valdez-Scantling is a very good deep threat who drops every other ball thrown to him. So that'll be fun. Stacy, who's our guy, says, I think it hurts Mahomes more. He'll be a number 1 option wherever he goes, and volume stats will make up for any discrepancy in quarterback talent. There's a point to be made there. I guess I would just argue that he's also going to be constantly doubled everywhere he goes. And he was in KC as well. But with Mahomes, you can beat that to some degree. I don't know, man. I mean, Have you like I've watched Tua. Tua ain't getting him the deep ball. Okay, let's put it that let's just put that out there right now. Tua Tagovailoa is not going deep to Tyreek Hill ever. So I think it hurts them both, right? It hurts them both, but I think it hurts Hill. But that being put aside, it's going to hurt both teams. It's going to hurt both sides. It's going to hurt Mahomes. You're losing a top 3 receiver in the NFL. Come on, of course.
I'm just now that we've been talking about it for about an hour. It's the shock is actually starting to set in a little bit more. At first, it was just kind of mobilized. If you're Patrick Mahomes, what are you thinking right now? Obviously, they've talked to him, unless
You're
they're
You're pissed.
Yeah,
you're pissed. You're pissed. If you're Tyreek Hill or if you're Patrick Mahomes, you're pissed. I mean, there's no two ways. I mean, how could you not be? I mean, the guy, like, your job is now a hell of a lot harder. No, I don't think Mahomes would have signed off on this. I'm not saying I don't think they would have asked him. It's not his business. I mean, it is and it's not, right? Like, if they can't pay Tyreek Hill or they're not willing to pay Tyreek Hill, then that's just the way it is. No, I don't think that this was like a hey Pat. Now they may have told him. I would think I would hope they did that.
Communicate.
But I don't think they went to him and said, "Are you okay with this?" I think it was probably more like, "Look, Pat, this is the situation. This is going to happen." I mean, that would be my guess. I don't know that for 100% fact, but just kind of knowing the way the league works, I would be shocked if they went to him and said that. And by the way, Odella, thank you for the super chat, man. I appreciate it. He says, this is not okay at all. Chiefs Kingdom should be protesting outside of Arrowhead right now. Well, unless Chiefs Kingdom wants to put together a fund, I don't think it's going to matter very much. That's just that's where it is.
It's going to be absolutely wildly unpopular. It already is, and you can see the Chiefs front office is going to take some heat. I saw a tweet from Louis Riddick from ESPN. He basically said the wide receiver evaluations better be on point come Las Vegas, and he's right, because I'll tell you what, this is one of those. With Brett Veach, obviously he was the big driver of bringing Patrick Mahomes to Kansas City. They got a Super Bowl. His legacy is pretty well defined, but it can take a blow if he gets this wrong. If this doesn't work out, that's rough. I mean, this is a big, massive risk that the Chiefs are taking. Right now you've added Juju Smith-Schuster and a safety. This is not. You've lost Tyrann Mathieu. This is a different team. This is a completely different team. It's not going to be boring. I can promise you that. It's not going to be a boring offseason, and it's not going to be a boring season. But the Chiefs, as you know them, are over.
No, they're done. As you know, they're done. I mean, you want to go the other way in galaxy brain. I mean, does Mahomes just go out of his mind? Because it's like, all season, you're just going to hear that they're done and they can't possibly win and all. I mean, does Smith-Schuster have a resurgence? I don't know, but I mean, I would not look. I'd be the first to tell you. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Chiefs. I hope it turns out that the Chiefs just figure it all out. But I mean, you're talking about trading that guy. He's one of the best players in football. He's 28 years old. You're not trading a guy who's 34 and on the back end. You're trading a great football player and somebody who's been a huge part of their success. I would argue, other than Mahomes and Kelce, the most important part of their success, and you could even argue him ahead of Kelce. I mean, you could very well make that argument. He's top 3. There's no arguing that. So, at least in terms of players in the field, I mean, I'm not including an Andy Reid or something like that. But listen. It's going to be a huge challenge for them to stay on top in that division. A huge challenge. I don't think they can do it with the current team that they have. I don't. Now, again, the one thing that changes is they're going to have so much more draft capital. Maybe they can really find, some reinforcements. But come on. You lose a guy like that, you're you're trying to rebuild an offense that didn't need to be rebuilt. And now you're trying to also build up a defense that right now sucks. Just
Right.
straight up, that defense sucks. Let's just call it what it is. They're not good. They have one Pro Bowl level player on that defense. Now, maybe the linebackers get there. They're really good. They're really young and talented. But as it stands, Chris Jones is the only guy in that defense you can pencil into the Pro Bowl. He is it. They have 6 other guys, Thornhill, Reed, Bolton, Gay, Snead, Fenton, who are good football players. But certainly not a guy who you're like, oh, that guy, no doubt about it, send him to the Pro Bowl. They have no edge rush. They don't have a third corner. They have no depth behind any of these guys.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem here. They were going to need to score 35 points a game to compete for the division based on the way their defense is right now,
Yes.
which they were capable of doing, although not an ideal situation with Tyreek Hill. You remove Tyreek Hill, I mean, how many points are you losing potentially per game? Touchdown? More?
I was going to say about a touchdown, probably. Yeah.
Again, it's not over, right? Like in terms of we don't know what the team is going to look like come September, and that's what matters. A team with Patrick Mahomes is going to be competitive. A team with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes is going to put up points. Remember, this is a team that put up points with Alex Smith at quarterback and Andy Reid. Obviously, they had Tyreek Hill for a portion of that as well. So the Chiefs are going to be able to score points, but are they going to have enough horses in the stable to compete with the rest of the AFC? And since a large portion of the return for Tyreek Hill is going to be in the form of draft picks, you're kicking the can down the road a little bit. Rookies, you get a Jamar Chase every once in a while who comes in and absolutely lights up the league.
Right.
But that is not what normally happens. Especially receivers, they come in and a receiver comes in and has an 800-yard season as a rookie. You're thrilled. Now you're going to be getting a ton of scrutiny because you're going to be potentially the number 1 wide receiver option on the team if you're coming in as a high draft rookie. So it's a little bit of a different situation. Jamar Chase was coming into a team with some other really good receivers, and they worked as a unit.
I don't know, like what is the return that they have to get on Tyreek Hill that you'd be like, okay, I'm not loving it, but I'm okay with it. I mean, I don't know, like what would it have to be? 2 firsts?
It would have to be 2 firsts for me.
I mean, I think at least. Right. And I don't know that they're going to get, maybe they do. Maybe they get it. I don't know. But I mean, I think at minimum, they got 2 firsts, as much as I still think it's a disaster. You can at least, all right, look, that's a ton for any player.
It's the Dolphins. Adam Schefter, Chiefs trading Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins for 5 draft picks, a 2022 first-round pick, number 29, a second-round pick, number 50, and a 4th-round pick, as well as a 4th and a 6th-round pick in 2023 draft, sources tell ESPN. That's underwhelming compensation, in my opinion.
Yeah, that blows. That's not anywhere near.
You're essentially, it's number 29. You're essentially getting 2 second-round picks for Tyreek Hill. Wow, that's a horrendous trade by the Chiefs. One late first-round pick.
Yeah, that was a Niners original pick.
Right. Yeah. That's so.
No, that's hilarious. That is like, that's brutal. Oh my God! How do you not trade to the Jets? You're gonna get the 10th pick.
Yeah, you've got it. That's. Unless there's now, sometimes just because that's the compensation, there could be more involved that hasn't come out yet. So we'll keep an eye on Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport. But again, the Chiefs are trading Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins for 5 picks for this year, They're getting a first rounder, number 29, and a second rounder, number 50, and a fourth round pick, as well as a fourth and a sixth in 2023.
This is also
So forget about this. Who cares about
Also, it should be noted, this is also not a good draft. Like, this is a draft. It is good at receiver. It is good at edge. I'll say that. It is very deep at those two positions. But, oh my God.
Yeah.
The 29th pick and the 50th pick. Like, you got two top 50 picks for. Okay, I mean, that's, oh my God. If I'm the Dolphins, I'm dancing on tables. I mean, the 29th and the 50th pick, and a bunch of bullshit after that, the 2 fourths and a who cares? I mean, now look, you have to keep in mind, and I'm not surprised in the sense that the Chiefs also know that the Dolphins know that they have to pay him. So if you're the Dolphins, you're not just giving up the picks, you're giving up what is going to be an ungodly amount of money. Brian C., thanks for the super chat, man. Reportedly, Thibodeau is a guy who may have more interest in football. It's a scary devil's advocate, but way with Cassius doesn't beat receivers fall when we hit 30. They're not getting Thibodeau, man. Not at 29. That ain't happening. Thibodeau's going to be gone 20 picks earlier than that. 25 picks earlier than that. I mean, and yeah, Hunt, they got Tyreek for a fifth. Good luck doing that again. I mean, that is a rough trade, man. I get why the Dolphins would only do that. I mean, but that is a hilariously, like, that's so bad. Oh my God. I mean,
I don't know how, if you're the Chiefs, you don't have the Jets pick.
Of course.
A top 10 pick for this. This is a Hall of Fame wide receiver. This is, without a doubt, the worst move that Brett Veach has made as the GM of the Kansas City Chiefs. Accepting this trade, if there's no other compensation, if there's no other player or something that we're going to find out about later, the fact that you allowed the Miami Dolphins to outbid the New York Jets, considering the insane amount of draft capital that the Jets have, and the reports that the Jets were willing to not only pay Tyreek Hill, but pay up in terms of draft picks. And also, they're a worse football team, which means any future picks that you get could be much higher than the Dolphins, who have been knocking on the door of the playoffs the last couple of years and have been in the playoffs. If you're a Chiefs fan, I'm going to look right in the camera when I say this. If you're a Chiefs fan, you should be absolutely fucking pissed at this development. You've lost a Hall of Fame wide receiver, and the compensation you got is horrendous for the talent that is going out the door. I'm kind of speechless, to be honest with you. I can't believe that but the highest pick that you're getting is number 29.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, that's
so now, so at this point, I brought this up earlier, because you're getting number 29. Can you turn that into DK Metcalf?
Sorry, I got a million people texting me.
Sure, yeah.
But again, if you did that, you have to fucking pay DK Metcalf, which apparently they just don't want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you probably could, right? But again, why would you? Because you should. If they do that, I'm going to be even more pissed. Like, if they turn around and trade one of these picks for another friggin' receiver, they got to pay $25 million to, and they didn't pay Tyreek Hill, you'd be out of your mind.
Yeah. This is, I'm trying to catch up on the reactions to this news right now, but it's not good. We're seeing in the chat here, Chargers won this trade. You're right.
Yeah, they
Fire
did.
Veach from
Damn
Danny.
right they did.
Frankenstein, I'm pissed. I'm seeing 4 years, 120 million, 72 million guaranteed from Hunt. These are coming from our chat here. Wow. This is really, really disappointing if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Is this Ken Swanson from KC Sports Network says, in a deep class, the Chiefs now have 8 picks in the top 135. That doesn't matter. The Chiefs don't have Tyreek Hill. They don't have Tyreek Hill. Can they add depth and get better that way? Absolutely. And are they a team that needs depth? Absolutely. But who cares? Evan Miller says embarrassing. Is this in the history of the Chiefs and Raiders rivalry, indirectly, is this the greatest blow the Raiders organization has ever dealt the Chiefs?
Maybe. In 4 years, 120 million, 72 million guaranteed, which means it's really a 3-year contract, and the cap hits are going to be huge. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The Chargers won the trade because the Chargers are now the best team in the division. Like, the hell with Denver. Denver's not better than the Chargers. The Chargers are the best team in the division. They should, anyway, be able to handle business. At this point now, they're the Chargers, but they should be able to handle business. It's going to be really interesting to see what the Chiefs do now.
Yeah.
Now it's really interesting.
Number 29.
So what's that?
Number 29.
Yeah.
The Jets have the 4th and the 10th pick. Like, what are you doing? It's mind-boggling. They better have a plan, because it's Jesus Christ, man. Jesus Christ. 29 for Tyreek Hill. I don't care about the other picks. Like number 50.
After 29 and 50, they're all bullshit. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like that's when I totally agree. That whole thing is, look, I don't want to hear any of these people, and I'm not talking about Ken, who I have a lot of respect for. I know Ken. Just in general, these like draft people, these draft nerds who are like, they all have so much value. Hey, look, man, those picks are valuable in the sense they give you a chance to get good players. But those picks don't mean shit unless you land really top end talent. Okay, it doesn't, like Breeland Speaks. How's that pick doing it for you right about now? Now, of course, you go the other. Humphrey was a great pick. Trey Schmidt. That's all true. But those picks are nothing more than lottery tickets. Now, some have better odds of cashing, obviously, the higher up they are. But the Chiefs have backs in the first round now, 29 and 30. Do they stay there? Do they move up? Who knows? We don't know. We're going to find out. But the idea that the Chiefs got better with this trade is just a clown show. Like, the only people who are happy about this in the Chiefs family, so to speak, are the people that just love the draft and they love mock drafts and they want to. When those people don't love it? Week 1, when they've actually got to play a football game and all that mock draft shit means nothing. And then you've actually got to go out and try to get the deal done. Donald, it's a done deal. The trade's official. They like all those mock drafts and all that pie in the sky shit. Hell of a lot of fun until it's time to play a football game. And then it doesn't, man, I remember when they drafted, oh God, who was it? I'm spacing now. Jonathan Baldwin. And it was like, he's going to come in. Jonathan Baldwin sucked. Like, I mean, remember when they took Chris Conley and everybody's like, Chris Conley? Chris Conley was just a guy. He wasn't terrible. He was a guy, right? Like, all these things, like the Chiefs have drafted some great players. Remember when they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Everybody was like, oh my God, they're unstoppable. Yeah, he's a guy. It's not terrible, but he's a guy. He's a guy. So
this is, I'm seeing some people say, oh, well, they can trade 29 and 30 to get up into the top 10. Why didn't they just take a top 10 pick from the Jets?
Yeah, I mean, what do we do? And still have 30. Yeah, I mean, come on. And I've seen people say, well, he didn't want to go to the Jets. Well, according to reports, he was torn on where he wanted to go.
Yeah.
So this idea they just couldn't get him to the Jets. I mean, come on now. Yeah, I don't buy that for a second. I mean, I don't believe that. I have no reason to believe that.
Yeah, this is Bill Barnwell tweets. I think this is roughly similar to how I thought about the Adams deal. Hill is a year younger, and the Dolphins are in an easier division, so it is more likely to make a dent. But Adams is a better player, more likely to age slowly. Herbie Tiobi just confirms it. It frees up $70 million in cap space. Just the cap space is great, man, but who are they going to give it to? I mean, I think if you're the Chiefs and you don't turn this into like a DK Metcalf for next year, you've punted on a year of Patrick Mahomes' career. Like that's just all there is to it. You have to get somebody like that who can come in and make an immediate impact.
Yeah,
if you want to try to compete for a Super Bowl this year, because a rookie's not going to do it. Like it's just there's almost zero chance. It's not impossible, but there's almost zero chance that you're going to bring in a rookie and they're going to be able to make that kind of impact this year.
Patrick, there's no chance they're not bringing in anybody who makes an impact like Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, not like Tyreek Hill.
It's not happening. I mean, if you're one of those people who like, the whole pour one out, you pour out the whole pack. Like, they're not finding that guy. I mean, look, I'm not saying they're not going to get a good football player. I'm not even saying they won't find a Pro Bowl player. But the difference between a Pro Bowl player and Tyreek Hill is massive. Like, he is a unicorn. He is one of one. And to lose that guy, you're not replacing. Now, that doesn't mean they can't replace him in the aggregate. Like, it doesn't mean they can't go out and get another good receiver and then use that cap space to go get a really good corner and go use that pick to go get an edge rusher. Like, I'm not saying they can't do that. I'm just talking about in terms of replacing him as a receiver, that is not happening. There's no chance that's happening. There is not I mean, you're begging them to do something it's like when Kelsey retires, them being like, yo, let's go get another Kelsey. Right. You're not getting another Travis Kelsey.
Right.
Like, he's Travis Kelsey. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think it's like why Seattle, and I've been on the side of Denver being the winner in that trade. This whole thing about like, well, Denver gave up too many picks. You're not getting another Russell Wilson with those picks. I don't give a shit what Denver gave him. Denver's going to win that trade. Denver's going to win that trade because they got the quarterback who's really damn good, and Seattle's going to take whoever, Kenny Pickett, and he's not going to be Russell Wilson. It's crazy to feel that, right? I mean, Tone B says, I see a Vikings fan feeling they traded Randy Moss. How are the Vikings doing with that, by the way? Like, did they ever replace Randy Moss?
Right.
No, they didn't. They got Sidney Rice. I mean, you're not going to replace that guy. Doesn't mean you can't be, as a team, as good or better at some point. But what it does mean is you're not going to find a way to just all of a sudden replace him out of nowhere and everything's going to be just fine and you're going to be the exact same thing. If they do that, it's one of those like Montana to Steve Young things, right? Like, it would be something like that. And that's, historically speaking, damn near impossible.
Well, listen, everybody, we're going to have more for you. Jesus. I have a dentist appointment in 9 minutes. If things weren't bad enough, I've got a dentist appointment and I got to go. Okay. We got to shut it down. I don't know if you want to keep going, Verderam, answering questions. You want to make a snap decision? Do you want to keep it rolling, answering questions from the chat here, or should we shut it down completely?
I'll go for a few more minutes. Why not?
Okay. Yeah, we're going to keep bringing you as the reactions come in. Verderam's here. Obviously, you can head to arrowheadaddict.com to get reaction from Matt Connor over there. Verderam's going on with Sterling Holmes later. So wall-to-wall coverage. This isn't the end of it. Verderam's going to keep answering your questions and bring you updates from her. And I may check back in after I get my teeth cleaned. So, yeah, pretty miserable. That sucks. Terrible trade. Chiefs have a lot of work to do to earn back the trust of their fans. Starts pretty much right now. All right, everybody. Cheers. We'll see you on the flip side.
All right. Taking this thing over. And Todd, you asked the question. Seriously, Matt, what do they do moving forward? I think that's where I'm going to go with this because I've given all the reaction I could possibly give to a trade that just came down. I think, look, Silent, who's my best friend in here, is not like Brady or Russell Wilson, bro. He's better than Russell Wilson. I think that he's not Brady, maybe, until he wins a bunch more titles. He's Russell Wilson. He had the same amount of titles, and he's like 6 years younger. Look, I think this is where now the Chiefs have to build a full-fledged football team, and that's a really hard thing to do. You now have to find a way to build beyond just it's Mahomes and it's Kelsey and it's Hill, right? And that's the nucleus, and you're just going to dominate because you have those guys. Now comes the part where you have to build a complementary football team around your quarterback. You have to build the defense. You have to find a way to, like I said earlier, add edge rush, add corners. Okay, I think they're good at linebacker. I think they're good at safety. I think they're even pretty good at D tackle. But you got to find edge rush. You got to find corners. That is now the coin of the realm for them today. Like, that's the way you need to win. And that's really, really, really hard to do. And it's something that we've seen other teams try and do for years, and some have succeeded and some have failed. But it's hard. Like, they now, as Wink says, no more cheat code. It's a perfect way to put it. They are going to have to go out and find a way to win the games when they don't have the easy completion to Tyreek Hill, when they don't have that ability to just go on 6. Well, we'll just run them on a speed out because nobody can stop them. You don't have that kind anymore. Now you are in a situation where you're going to have to go out and find a lot of pieces to supplement a team that right now, it's a team. Like, it's just a good team. They're a good team. They are that. Mahomes is great. They have a great offensive line. Kelsey's great. Smith-Schuster and Hardman, look, you could do worse at your receiver positions, right? Their offense is still good, but it's not great. It's not a great. It's probably even a really good offense because Mahomes and everything, but it's not a great offense. Defensively, it's a bad defense. Now, you add an edge rush, you add a corner, you can upgrade it quickly. But right now, right where we sit right now, it's a bad defense. And that team, all told, is probably about a 10-win football team. It's probably about a 10-win football team. It's a playoff team. It's probably a playoff team. And it's a team that in the playoffs would be dangerous. I don't think anybody would want to see them in a playoff game. But you're not terrified of them anymore. Why would you be? Right? I mean, Justin Jones fins up, man, absolutely for you. But, dude, my God, the Dolphins is a great move. Now, they have no quarterback, which is not exactly helping things. But, of course, listen, this has now changed the calculus of who the Chiefs are and what they do to opponents. They don't scare you now. They don't scare you. And that's where you start looking at this thing and going, okay, look, a good team, yeah, but not a Super Bowl team. Really, really, really hard to see them as a Super Bowl team. I think it's really hard to say that they're better in any conceivable fashion this offseason. I mean, look around. The Chargers have gotten better. The Broncos have gotten better. The Raiders have gotten better. The Colts have gotten better. The Bills have gotten better. The Bengals have gotten better. The Ravens have gotten better. The Browns have gotten better. The Chiefs have gotten substantially worse. I mean, none of that's arguable. Those are just facts. The real money for Tyreek, it's like $75 million guaranteed or something like that. So it's really like a 3-year deal for probably about $90 million. It's a damn good contract. And the term's not crazy either, by the way. If you're Tyreek Hill, you select your free agent 31, you'll get paid again. So right now, no, I don't see the Chiefs going after Michael Thomas. If they go after Michael Thomas, they have to train Tyreek. They're out of their minds. And I agree with Eddie E, who's in here all the time. Bro, they're not getting an elite edge talent unless you get really lucky at 29 or 30. You're not getting that. I mean, I don't see how you could possibly sit there if you're a Chiefs fan and talk yourselves into this team being anything more than good. Any more than good. They're good. They're good. They're a playoff team. But are they a championship team? No. Not without him. No way. It's like the Bills losing Stephon Diggs. And they lost. You're not a championship team anymore. You're a good team. You're dangerous. Nobody wants to see you. You still have Josh Allen. Still have some other really good players. You're not the same team. You're not the same team anymore. And I think you'd be lying to yourselves to say otherwise. By the way, I think it's interesting. Over at BetMGM, the Dolphins Super Bowl odds before Tyreek Hill, 50-1. After Tyreek Hill, 50-1. Because their quarterback stinks. So, I mean, I don't even really think it matters. Like, it makes the Dolphins more exciting. It's a great move in terms of that. But, like, I don't know. I mean, until they get a quarterback, I don't really care, right? But it certainly affects other teams in the AFC that do have quarterbacks who can win a Super Bowl. I mean, Buffalo to me right now, if they don't get to the Super Bowl this year, it's a full-on failure. You have to get there. You have to get there for them. So, by the way, Tyreek Hill contract details per Adam Schefter. $72.2 million becomes fully guaranteed at the start of next year. The other $52.5 guaranteed at signing. So he's going to get, as the kids say, the bag. He's gotten the bag. And hey, listen, it's an amazing trade for them. I mean, if you're the Dolphins, like, I still think they're completely capped by who they have at quarterback. But I mean, it's a great move. It's a move that if you're the Chiefs, you now are going to have to justify by making a lot of really good moves concurrently. By that, I mean, these draft picks, you got to nail them. You got to nail these picks. I have been an ardent defender of Brett Veach. I think he's a very good general manager. I think this trade is a big black mark on him. And it falls on him. Like, it's on him. He manages the team. And I don't think they got enough for him. I don't think they maximized this window. I think Brett Veach has done a very good job in his career. I honestly do. I really, truly believe that. I think he's drafted well, the whole deal. This trade is a mess. This trade is a mess. I can't get on board with this trade. To me, you're losing a premier player for what? For the 29th and 50th picks? I mean, I get it, 2 top 50 picks, but like, it's a late first and a mid-second. Like, who cares? You're not. You think the Rams are too upset they gave up a couple firsts for Jalen Ramsey? You think they care? Of course they don't care. They got Jalen Ramsey. So George asks, given the significance of this decision as you were spelling it out, how can it make sense to save money for the Chiefs? I don't think it does. Like, you get all these cap people and these draft people who are like, well, that's great. That's great. They saved all this money. Okay, great. You know you're going to have to spend that money, right? Like, I'd rather spend it on Tyreek Hill than just a bunch of guys. That's just me. I don't get it. Guys, listen, I wish I had a better answer. Jeremy, they're not going to have balance. Their head coach doesn't want to run the football. It doesn't matter. They could be trotting out you, me, and NBA Jam here behind me. They're not going to run the football. They don't care. Andy does not want to run the ball. He hates running the football. He's hated it since he was in Philadelphia. They're never going to run the ball. If it didn't show through in the AFC title game, the second half of that game, and the Bengals are basically like begging them to run the ball, I don't know what to tell you. They're not running the ball. They don't care. That's not what they want to do. Now they're just going to throw the ball 50 times without Tyreek Hill. It's going, Benjamin, of course it's going to be worse. It's going to be a lot worse. I mean, they'll still be a good offense. They're not going to be great. Not without him. Come on. You're losing Tyreek Hill. You're losing Tyreek Hill. You're not losing DeMarcus Robinson. I mean, okay, that was all right. Fine, who cares? You're not losing Byron Pringle. Nice enough player, but fine, you can replace that guy. Why did they wait so long to do this? I think that's a great question, Zach. And I'm going to listen. We'll go here in a minute because I don't know what else I can add. Why did they wait so long to do this? I don't know, but I will say this: it cost them big time. They could have had that deal done, and they waited. And I'm not saying that it's just like on the Chiefs. I mean, Rosenhaus has to play ball too and all that. That deal could have gotten done. And they expected it to get done. I can tell you right now, I know for a fact they expected that deal to get done. For a fact. So they've got issues. Well, John, the defense is bad now, bro. I mean, it wasn't in the middle of the season, but they lose Tyrann Mathieu. They lose Travis Ward. Yeah, of course. Melvin Ingram's not there. Yeah. I mean, if you lost those three guys, yeah, it's a hell of a lot different than it was in November. They lost major guys. The Chiefs absolutely could have signed Hill. Now, maybe you'd argue they shouldn't have or whatever, but they could have. Of course they could have. Of course they could have. It would have saved them a bunch of cap money this year. Next year, they're going to get rid of Frank Clark. Of course. Would have slid right in. Now, again, maybe they don't do that, but they could have. Is there any logical explanation for Veach letting this happen? I mean, look, if you're trying to get inside Brett Veach's mind, the thought process is this. They do not want to pay a receiver into his 30s, $30 million a year. And they probably feel like they can get 3 or 4 really good players to replace Tyreek Hill. And they're better off doing that. If they can draft really well, maybe they're right. But that's a huge if. That is a huge if. And whenever people talk about the draft, these draft nicks, it's always like some guarantee that these picks are going to turn into good players. It's not a guarantee. In fact, the odds are one of those 2 first-round picks won't be any good. Usually about 50% hit rate. It's usually what it is. It's going to be tough. They didn't waste any time walking up Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, because Patrick Mahomes. It's quarterback. It's different. Look, and to be fair to the Chiefs, I think part of this was they were ready to lock him up. Like they were ready to pay Tyreek Hill. This was not a matter of like that they didn't want to pay him. That's why I think this is a bigger disaster than people even think it is. With Tyrann Mathieu, I just don't know that as the year went on that they were willing to pay the price that they wanted to pay. They wanted to pay Tyreek Hill. They wanted to pay him. And they still didn't. By the way, I've been reporting this. It's true. They wanted to pay Travis Ward too. And they didn't. Like, you start losing pieces. And all of a sudden, you start looking around. You're like, man, this isn't the same team anymore. I mean, this isn't about the teams catching up to the Chiefs. Teams now blown by the Chiefs. They're not as good as Buffalo. Not as talented as the Chargers. Anybody else in the conference? Look, they're probably on a par with Cincinnati. Probably on a par with Baltimore. Probably on a par, maybe a touch above Denver. But the gap that they once had, it's gone. And now they got to fix it. They got a lot of capital. They got some cap space. But they got to fix it. We'll see if Brett Veach can do it. I think he's been a very good GM over his career. I think this trade's a mess, but I think he's been a very good GM. We'll see if he can do it. All right, that's all I got, guys. I got to get back on the desk. I got to get back to covering the NFL for everybody here at Fansided. I have nothing else to add, but a weird day in Kansas City. Tyreek Hill went from, oh, yeah, it'll be an extension, and no, he's gone. And for what I think is a pretty underwhelming package. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. If you're in Kansas City, maybe go get a beer. Maybe go to KC Beer Co. God knows there's going to be a lot of people in Kansas City who could use one. All right. For Patrick Allen, I'm Matt Verderam. Till next time. and we'll see what happens. Chiefs have a lot of work to do.